Welcome to Sweden. My name is Raymond Baxter, which may sound vaguely familiar in Great Britain, certainly less so in the United States or Europe, so let me explain. All my working life, I've been lucky enough to earn a living from the things which interest me most, specifically cars and aeroplanes. As a motoring journalist, I frankly long ago lost count of the number of new cars I've driven, and I've been reporting science and technology on BBC television for more years than I care to remember, and I'm still learning. And that is exactly why I've come to Mantorp here near Linköping to learn about one of Europe's newest and most exciting cars, the Saab Turbo. Now this place, Mantorp Park, is the capital of drag racing in Sweden. So, for a start, let's compare the new Saab Turbo with the pick of the high-performance competition over a standing quarter mile. And here we have a selection of 8. The Porsche 924, the Lancia Beta, the Alfa Romeo Alfetta, the Audi 105e, the Mercedes 280, the BMW 528, the Volvo 264, and the Dodge Monaco. All the cars are to the current Swedish specification, and the drivers are two of Sweden's most famous international champions, Stig Blomqvist and Per Eklund. The electronic timing by the Royal Swedish Automobile Club KAK is to the nearest thousandth of a second. We're going to run the cars in pairs on a knockout basis, and the first two on the line are the BMW and the Audi. The Audi's time 18.366 seconds, the BMW's 16.688, so out goes the Audi. And next on the line, the Volvo and the Dodge. And the Dodge's time 18.208, the Volvo's 17.751. Next on the line, the Porsche and the Lancia, and remember, Stig Blomqvist and Per Eklund are really trying. Both hate to be beaten, particularly by the other. Out goes the Lancia. And now the Mercedes versus the Alfa. Out goes the Merc. So, on to round 2, first heat, the BMW versus the Volvo. Out goes the Volvo. Next, the Porsche versus the Alfa. And this is a very close one, only 0.3 of a second between them. So to the final eliminator, the BMW versus the Porsche. So now we match the pick of the bunch, the BMW 528, against the new Saab Turbo. And it's a very close thing indeed, but the Saab beats the BMW over a standing quarter mile. The BMW's time, 16.565 seconds, the Saab, 16.517. But sheer performance in a straight line from a standing start is not much practical use except perhaps at traffic lights. It's the acceleration of a car from medium and higher speeds which makes it a joy to drive, is exactly what you often need on the road to get you out of trouble, but which is often lacking in the economical family car. Not so with the Saab Turbo. So now back on the drag track, here's the Saab Turbo versus the BMW 528 over a flying quarter mile, with the cars crossing the start line at 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour. And the times for the flying quarter mile, the BMW 15.775 seconds, for the Saab Turbo 14.045 seconds, a very striking difference indeed. Of course, sheer speed is meaningless and can be positively dangerous unless a car has adequate road holding to go with it. In fact, the new Saab Turbo has all the excellent front-wheel drive handling characteristics which have made its predecessors famous throughout the world with both the professionals and private owner drivers alike. So now, let's see the Saab Turbo against the BMW 528 on a slalom course. So we have seen that the four-cylinder Saab Turbo beats all comers over the standing and flying quarter mile, including the six-cylinder BMW 528. Ole Granlund here is the assistant manager power plant testing at Saab. Ole, what is the key factor behind this remarkable performance?
You see, we at Saab Scania has for many years employed turbine superchargers driven by the exhaust on our heavy Scania tracks. Now we have applied the same idea on our 99 four-cylinder car engine. What we have done is to give our 99 four-cylinder engine the power characteristics of a six-cylinder or eight-cylinder engine whenever the driver calls for it, and without losing the economy and reliability of our well-proven engine.
So, promising words from one of Saab's senior engineers, and we've seen for ourselves the performance. But now, what does the Saab Turbo feel like from the driving seat? First impressions are very pleasing indeed. Comfortable seat, good driving position, everything where it should be, typically Saab. The four-speed gearbox is a delight, and there are no additional controls to operate the turbo supercharger. You don't have to kick the pedal to the floor or change gear or do anything. You just accelerate, and the car goes on accelerating in a way you wouldn't have thought possible. Per Gilbrand is head of the Saab car's engine laboratory. Tell us please how the exhaust-driven turbocharger works.
A turbocharger consists mainly of two parts, one turbine and one compressor unit. In the turbine, a turbine wheel is spun by the exhaust gas, and connected through this shaft it also spins a compressor wheel, a similar wheel in the compressor unit, which sucks air from the outside and delivers the air under pressure into the inlet manifold of the engine, and thus increases the power of the engine,
thereby increasing the amount of air and fuel in the engine in a way which would not be possible were the engine breathing normally. But how does the turbine know when to cut in?
The turbine doesn't really know when to cut in. The exhaust gas is all the time spinning the turbine wheel, but at a certain load or power of the engine, the compressor wheel is increasing the pressure of the intake manifold, and therefore the power increase comes automatically.
And of course the amount of exhaust gas is increased simply by pressing down on the accelerator pedal, so the additional power from the supercharger comes in exactly when the driver requires it. But now what happens if you get too much exhaust gas?
That is one of the problems when turbocharging a petrol engine, and our solution here is a bypass valve which automatically controls the power of the engine. We are bypassing the exhaust gas so that the inlet manifold pressure is kept constant at a desired level.
How important do you think is this arrangement for the future?
Before, we used to make bigger engines when we wanted to increase the performance or to keep the performance of a car. But we don't believe that that is possible in the future when we have to meet requirements of both fuel economy and emission control. We are convinced that our way to use wasted energy in the engine and to bring that back through this turbocharger and increase the efficiency of the engine is one of the few possibilities we have to meet all the requirements in the future.
And this is the first engine of its kind in the world.
Our US version of this engine, which uses a lambda sensor to control the exhaust emissions of the engine and a turbocharger to improve the performance of the car and to improve the fuel economy of the engine, is the first of its kind we know about that meets all the requirements.
Per Gilbrand, congratulations, and thank you very much indeed. So much then for the all-important power plant, but now what about the whole car? The new turbo is instantly recognizable by its aerodynamic rear stabilizer to accommodate its high-performance characteristics. The turbo is only built in the classic Saab three-door hatchback form with all the convenience which this implies. The turbo retains, of course, all the classic Saab firsts, including the sprung retain shape bumpers, the safety cage heavily insulated against sound, heat and shock, and now there's a sunroof, extremely comfortable automatically heated seats, and the rest of the Saab interior refinements with which we are all now familiar. Front-wheel drive and the split double-diagonal braking system constitute another important safety feature. And another first for Saab, headlamp washers and wipers as standard equipment. I said there were no additional controls associated with the turbo supercharger, and there are not. But there is one extra instrument, this one. This one tells you what the supercharger is doing. When the needle is in the white sector, the compressor, although spinning, is not supercharging the engine. Depress the accelerator, increase the amount of exhaust gas generated. The compressor is now supercharging the engine, and that is indicated by the needle in the orange sector. Arrived at the new desired cruising speed, back off a fraction, the needle goes back into the white, and the supercharger is now inoperative, although the car is continuing at the new higher cruising speed. As to reliability, more than 150 test cars have driven more than 1.5 million kilometers all over the world, from the Arctic to Arizona. And Per Gilbrand says that the turbocharger unit is the most reliable automotive component he's ever experienced. Efficiency is what this car is all about, and that means fuel economy with performance. The figures speak for themselves. At a steady 70 miles an hour, 29 miles to the imperial gallon, 23.1 miles the imperial gallon overall, driven hard in town and country. The US certification figure, with all that implies, is 21 miles to the US gallon overall. In other words, the Saab Turbo has about the same fuel consumption as the normal EMS, plus, of course, all the additional performance. And that, my friends, is the power for the future.